To this point, we have seen a more thoughtful Kratos raise his son as a single father and stop Ragnarok. So where do we go from here? God of War 3 ended with Kratos killing all of the Greek gods and releasing hope into the human world. One possible ending was for Kratos to demolish the Norse and Egyptian pantheons, also only sparing Tyr and Menthu, the Norse and Egyptian gods of war. The three gods would travel to Bethlehem and give gifts to the newborn Christ child. So far, we have seen that Tyr is alive at the end of Ragnarok, so it's only logical to assume that Egypt is the next stop for Kratos. God of War 2018 picked up the story with a physically changed Kratos and his young son Atreus. His blades of chaos had been replaced with an axe and shield, which was more thematically suited to the Norse setting. The mural at the end of Ragnarok shows Kratos being worshipped as a builder. Having Kratos go on a god-killing tear after these events would be a massive departure for his character and how he has changed. To me, the only sensible way to tell another Kratos story that is filled with explosive rage and god butchering would be to have it occur in between God of War 3 and God of War 2018. This being the case, I have conjectured a possible narrative for his adventures in Egypt. Kratos wakes up in the Egyptian underworld. His weapons and armor are gone. He picks up a bone and makes his way toward the scales of judgment and Anubis. Kratos stands before Anubis, and his heart is weighed against a feather. His evil deeds have consigned him to damnation. A fight breaks out as Anubis forcefully tries to throw Kratos into damnation. Another man enters the fray and helps Kratos escape. The two men cut through the dog-man guards of Anubis and continue into a connected realm. The man tells Kratos that his reputation is known even in these lands. Kratos is only interested in returning to the mortal world. The man tells Kratos that his name is Set and that he knows the way out. Kratos and Set will travel through the realms battling Egyptian gods and monsters until they return to the mortal realm. During their journey, both men will grow to dislike each other. Set is an older and more evil mirror for Kratos. The cruelty and violence that Set enjoys is more than even Kratos can stomach. Set had killed his brother Osiris, and in retribution, his son Horus had killed him. Now Set intends to return to the mortal world and kill Horus, and his travel through the realms with Kratos has given him the power to do it. The men finally exit the afterlife in Memphis, and Set runs off to find Horus. The final confrontation has Set fight Horus. Kratos intervenes before Set can finish off Horus, and the two men get their long-awaited fight. The first phase of the fight would have both men using Egyptian weapons. Then, Set reveals that he stole the Blades of Chaos from Kratos when he first arrived in the underworld. Set tries to use the blades against Kratos. Phase 2 of the fight would see Kratos beat down Set and gradually reclaim his blades. At the end, Set is killed by Kratos. Depending on what would be intended, there are a few ways to cap off this story. The first being that after killing Set, Kratos leaves and travels to Midgard. If a second game in Egypt is desirable, then Amun-Ra could steal the future of Kratos. He does this because he killed his son Set. Amun-Ra would punish Kratos and take away the vision of hope that he saw. Kratos saw a vision of Faye and Atreus when he released hope from Pandora's box. This hope and promise of future happiness has been the driving motivation for Kratos. After Amun-Ra steals this from Kratos, All that remains is a painful sense of loss, that something valuable has been taken from him. The bulk of a second Egypt game would see Kratos fighting his way through more of the Egyptian pantheon in his quest to reclaim his future. Before their final confrontation, I would have Kratos secure the help of Apophis in his battle against Amun-Ra. Since God of War is a video game series, for now at least, I wanted to share my ideas for some game mechanics that could be implemented in the Egypt game and/or games. God of War has never been a couch co-op type of experience, but I think if done correctly, it could add some much-needed dimension to the gameplay. Both Kratos and Set could be player-controlled. If a single player is controlling Kratos, then the game's AI would control Set in combat. For puzzle sections of the game, a single player would swap between Kratos and Set. With two players, one would control Kratos, and the other would control Set, in combat and for puzzle sections. This could be done using an isometric camera that has an arena showing both characters, or a split screen for over-the-shoulder third person. God of War 2018 and Ragnarok had Atreaus and Freya as companion characters, so making a companion character player-controlled seems like the next logical evolution. I would like to see a change in the weapon system also. Prince of Persia: Warrior Within had a very engaging secondary weapon system that I think could adapt well to God of War. For those who don't know, Warrior Within allowed the prince to pick up the weapon of a slain enemy in his left hand. Each weapon type had a different attack and combination options. Enemies would drop swords, daggers, axes, and hammers. The prince could use the weapon for melee attacks or throw the weapon, causing damage at range. Secondary weapons could also be found on weapon racks scattered throughout the levels. Normal secondary weapons have a durability meter. As the weapon deteriorates, it does less melee damage. In addition, there were also 5 secret, indestructible secondary weapons that had unique abilities. These weapons could be thrown, and they disappear if you shut off the game, even if you saved it. So then, in all previous God of War games, Kratos always had some variant of the Blades of Chaos. 2018 and Ragnarok decided to change that up, and to great success. For an Egyptian sequel, I think the Khopesh and other culturally iconic weapons are a must-have. Kratos has been compared to the barbarian from Diablo 2 when it comes to his visual style. For the Egyptian sequel, I say we lean even more into the archetype. In Diablo 2, the barbarian could equip a weapon in each hand. I would have Kratos do the same. This would provide a variety of combat builds based on weapon types chosen and fighting style used. Lastly, I wanted to say that while I enjoyed the mature and thoughtful older Kratos in the recent games, I still miss the bombastic and rage-fueled Kratos of yesteryear. And not just the old Kratos, but I miss the outrageous set pieces, the gargantuan boss fights, and the WWE-style smack talk. I think a fusion of old and new would be well received by woke-weary fans and filthy casuals alike. Especially those who remember the good old days, slaying gods and epic mythological monsters in the ultimate testosterone-fueled power fantasy as the Ghost of Sparta. Until next time.